So, you're here because you're vaguely aware that something about modern life just doesn't sit right. Maybe it's the 9 to 5 grind or the relentless pressure to buy more, achieve more or be more. Let's start with this cheerful medieval illustration here, top title, Specvulvum propriae vilitatis. The mirror of one's own worthlessness, banner in the upper section, memento homo quod pulvis es, et in pulverem reverteris. Remember, human, that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. This phrase is from Genesis 3:19, a reminder of mortality. Labels and characters, letters like G, F, H, D, C, B and I are likely annotations for specific figures or elements, typically meant for reference in accompanying texts or explanations, which might identify virtues, sins, stages of life or different people. Interpretation. This illustration presents an allegorical depiction of mortality and the vanity of human pursuits, characteristic of the medieval and Renaissance memento mori tradition, which served to remind viewers of death and the transient nature of earthly life. Upper section, scenes of life and reflection on mortality. G and F figures. These may represent monks, clergy or philosophers, one of whom holds a cross, symbolizing faith or salvation, and appears to be guiding others. The figure kneeling before the altar, labelled F, likely signifies repentance or returning to faith. Scenes of fire and the figure in flames, left side. This could represent the idea of judgment or the consequences of sinful living. The fire may symbolize hell or the purging of sins, as represented by figure H gesturing toward it. Central skeletons, C and skull symbol. The two skeletons flanking the large central skull are reminders of death, personifying death itself as an unavoidable end that stands behind human life. The skull and crossbones, D, is a classic symbol of mortality, often reminding viewers of the inevitability of death. The circle around the skull may signify the cycle of life and death or serve as a mirror, reflecting human mortality, aligned with the title of the piece as a mirror to reflect on one's own insignificance. Central symbol with D and A. The letter A below the skull may stand for Adam, a symbol of humankind, especially in Christian contexts where Adam is considered the first human and a symbol of original sin and mortality. The coiled or circular snake surrounding the central skull is often interpreted as an Ouroboros, a symbol of the eternal cycle of life, death and rebirth. Though here it's presented within a memento mori context, emphasizing that death comes for all. Figure B, bottom center. The seated figure at the bottom, appearing contemplative or sorrowful, may represent a human contemplating their mortality, facing their own mortality through the mirror of the central skull. The figure's posture, with crossed arms, suggests introspection or even penitence. Left and right columns, I and various symbols. The items along the left and right edges include an array of symbols such as religious items, weapons, and possibly royal or civic symbols, suggesting the range of human pursuits, including power, knowledge, and faith. Placing them alongside death emphasizes that none of these pursuits can shield one from mortality. Overall interpretation. This image serves as a visual meditation on death, the vanity of human pursuits, and the need for spiritual reflection. The title, The Mirror of One's Own Worthlessness, implies that earthly accomplishments, status and possessions are ultimately insignificant in the face of death. The skeletons and skulls symbolize the omnipresence of death, reminding viewers to live with the awareness of their mortality. The scene encourages humility, repentance and the redirection of one's focus from temporal achievements to spiritual concerns, as represented by the figure kneeling at the altar and the reminder, remember, human, that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. This aligns with the themes common in medieval and Renaissance art, where contemplating mortality was seen as a path to wisdom and virtue. Nothing says relax and enjoy life like a reminder of your own inevitable death. But here's the thing, death isn't the real control mechanism. It's just the bait. The real hook, the belief that accumulating material stuff and competing with each other will somehow keep us safe from it. Our society is built on fear. Fear of death, fear of failure, fear of not having enough, civilization and its discontents, Freud called it. He suggested that societies keep us repressed, giving us just enough illusion of safety to keep us obedient. So here we are, trading our precious time and energy for a system that assures us salvation lies in a few extra dollars or maybe a promotion at the office. And it works because, spoiler alert, those in charge know you're terrified of the alternative. Then there's the masterpiece of all social programming, survival of the fittest. Darwin may have been talking about nature, but oh, did the elites run with it? Suddenly it's not just nature that's red in tooth and claw. It's every workplace, every relationship, every Instagram feed. The belief that success means outcompeting everyone else is now etched into our bones. And by our bones, I mean our cubicles. They sold us a neat little fantasy: compete, consume, conquer. It's only natural, right? But let's look at a society that didn't get the memo. The Ra Confederation. Imagine this: no money, no banks, no stress-inducing stock markets. Yet they lived in abundance. Many of their cities sparkled with jewels and were clad in gold. Beyond the idea of being expensive, if you value those things, yet appropriate and joyous, elevating the spirit of all who engage them, whilst living amongst these beautiful, inspirational and elegant expressions of atomic perfection, knowing that you live in a world of abundance and that you have the conscious awareness of the endless, fractal beauty and interconnectedness of all things, both manifest material and interdimensionally spiritual, aware that these gifts are available to all life in the cosmos. They didn't even need writing or town planning because they didn't need to write passive-aggressive meeting notes. Instead, they communicated telepathically. Yes, while we're here texting each other emojis and trying to decode read receipts, they were sending entire conversations through thought. Those intimate communications were honest. It's impossible to lie when you're communicating telepathically. Messages don't arrive like word-written and emoji-laden SMSs. They arrive as emotionally charged images, pictographic movie-like stories. No need for orchestral scores. The embedded emotions, motives and desired outcomes are fully exposed in every multidimensional communication. They had no religion because they didn't need one. When you're tapped into the cosmic vibes directly, there's no need for a middleman. And here's what it looks like on the ground, in everyday life, in the Ra Confederation. The multitudinous civilizations that made up the global Ra Confederation didn't need engineers or town planners to build structures like the pyramids. They built with intuition, in harmony with nature, and understanding concepts like the law of attraction, the physical drawing of like-to-like that Newton mistakenly called gravity, an idea that the scientific rulers decided was another insipid rabbit hole of erroneous study they gravitated towards, making up absurd equations and rationales for, much like the insidious and expensive tectonic plate theory, one we dismember in another video linked below. Make sure to comment and join this conversation. While we're stuck in a labyrinth of permits, zoning laws and environmental impact reports just to put up a coffee shop, they managed to build one of the most iconic structures in Earth's history, without blueprints. Imagine that, they just knew where to put each block. Meanwhile, we can't even assemble IKEA furniture without losing a few screws and a few hours of our sanity. So, why do our ruling elites want us competing for scraps? Why are we so obsessed with money, status, and consumer goods? Because it keeps us distracted. Money is the carrot, and fear of not having it is the stick. It's the oldest trick in the book. As long as we're buying into this system, we're not thinking about telepathy, cosmic energy, or even, heaven forbid, actual harmony. No, we're too busy trying to pay the bills. The Ra Confederation understood abundance as a cosmic principle. They didn't work 9-to-5 jobs, they didn't struggle to pay rent, and they didn't argue over property lines. They resonated with the over-unity energies of the cosmos, amplifying love, light, and harmony. They believed the purpose of life was simple: create more light, resonate with the universe, and embrace a state of love. Think of it as the anti-capitalist paradise, but here, we're too busy obsessing over who has the best lawn or the latest iPhone. So what would happen if we dropped the fear? If we stopped worshipping the dollar and started resonating with something higher? Imagine a world where we don't need to compete, where spiritual evolution takes priority over material gain, where we start living like the Ra Confederation, guided not by fear, but by intuition, unity, and cosmic abundance. And the best part, no one has to memorize their Wi-Fi password. Maybe the ruling elite want us fighting for scraps because they know what's possible if we stopped. They know that if we embraced harmony over hierarchy and cooperation over competition, we might actually wake up. We'd stop living in fear and start living in resonance with the universe. So next time you're feeling that existential dread, remember you're more than a cog in their machine. The choice is yours. Stay in the mirror of worthlessness or step into a light they can't extinguish. Join us as we continue to explore how ancient civilizations lived, drawing on the lessons they left us in indelible stone. Like, share, subscribe, and comment to help